in the top right side of Tropical Sacrifice, I believe the first time today that we see Tropical Sacrifice, we are looking at the main base of our Zerg player. It's Rattata.
His opponent, the GSL finalist in the purple for onside. His name, folks, it's Maru.
He's pretty good at video games.
Yeah, he happens to be, you know, better than average, I'd say.
Yeah, slightly above, you know. Ups the numbers a little bit.
Winning 4 GSLs in a row is that's kind of the bare minimum we expect from anyone who we call passable. And if you haven't won 4 GSLs, have you really even played the game?
Are you a video gamer at that point? You know,
I don't think so.
I think you just identify as a casual, but Maru, not all that casual. Really cool to see that these two have literally never played against one another, and this is not one of these matchups where, yeah, maybe they played a bunch of custom games, because I highly doubt that Rattata and Maru are like best friends, and that they're willing to play cross-server games at any given moment. There is a good chance that maybe once upon a time they played a few custom games here and there, but obviously they don't play on the same server, so it's really cool to see two unique playstyles clash, and I wonder how familiar Maru is with Rattata. Definitely not a Neil name, unless he only knows Vanya and he doesn't know who Rattata is, but can't really imagine that to be the case. But I also don't think that Maru is like an expert on how Rattata likes to tackle the ZVT matchup, so he could definitely be a bit surprised by the aggression that I think Rattata will bring him.
You know, Ratty, I'm not sure that anyone can truly be an expert on how Rattata approaches any matchup. Because it feels like week to week, month to month, he's got some new interesting idea on how to play TVZ, how to play TVP, how to play ZVZ, whatever, or I guess ZVP, how to play all these different matchups. So, well, we move into Tropical Sacrifice. It's a bigger map, but also it's a map where we've seen Terran players have a lot of success with these 2.5 base pushes towards the base that actually Rattata is taking right now, which does mean he's maybe going to creep out there a little more, maybe already kind of taking the wind out of those sails. But we also talk about Rattata being aggressive, as you said. I don't know that I necessarily see Maru choosing too much aggression on this map or just in general in this series.
No, like with Maru, you sometimes never know, because I'm thinking back of the TSL qualifier that Maru actually played in, and I think that was right after DreamHack Masters Valencia, and Maru actually qualified by playing Protoss. First round he played Terran, but then his qualifying match was a best of 5 against Percival, and I quote, Maru was not in the mood for a TVT. So even at that point, Maru was like, you know what, I'm just going to play Protoss. I'm going to keep it a bit shorter because, yes, I know how to play TVT. I'm very good at it, arguably the best in the world. But those games can take a little while. And Maru is also not always in the mood to play, you know, super dragged out TVCs. If it's necessary, if he plays against a Rainer at DreamHack Masters Valencia quarterfinals, of course he's going to do whatever it takes to win. But those games can be very draining. Now, this time around, it's only a best of 3, so I don't think he really has to worry about running out of steam. But it's still something that he doesn't necessarily always settle for. Maru does still enjoy showing off how fast he is. And the funny thing is, if you look at Maru first person, he obviously is fast, but it's not crazy speed. It's not like, whoa, I can't even follow what he's doing. But Maru is just so damn precise and accurate, as Rattata is firing up quite a few links here and a Baneling Nest already 4 minutes and 10 seconds into the game, which is pretty damn early, to say the least.
I mean, he does need the link count that he's getting right now with the heavy pressure that Maru's putting on. 3 Hellions trying to dive in. That's just enough to one-shot workers. So how many does Maru get here? He's going to get 3. He's going to get 4. Good surround, though. It's going to minimize the damage. Marines, though, on the high ground, they're not going to get a queen. Not exactly the type of damage that Rattata would like to take, but considering how much Maru has committed to this, nice defense from the Zerg thus far.
Yeah, Maru did get 1 queen, though. That queen died while we were following the Hellion. So 1 queen did already go down, and the other queen was running very low in HP. So overall, I don't think it was too bad. I think Maru is going to be somewhat happy, especially if he can get a little more. And since the Lynx is still a bit out of position, that Widowmine that hasn't fired yet is not going to get a shot off, but the Marines will get a couple of kills. Now the Widowmine burrows again. Can we get a good connection? A little bit of retarget micro in the end settles for shooting at the queen. Lost mining time, though. It's 2 extra workers going down. Not the worst start for Rattata, but it could have been a bit cleaner.
Hey, really not the end of the world, but Maru, he's going full steam ahead here. No third base just yet. Just 4 additional barracks. He wants to go for a 5 racks timing. He's got +1, no second eBay. We talked about these 2 base timings and how, I don't know, maybe Maru doesn't go for it. Well, it seems like he does actually want to go for it after all in this game. You get a couple tanks, you siege up around that choke, you plug that spot with Marines, and it just becomes so dang difficult for the Zerg to get on top of it. But because Rattata took that at his third, he already has creeped past there, and he's already knocked the rocks. Wait, never mind, he's not rocked. We're looking at the wrong spot. He at least was starting to knock those rocks down.
Yeah.
But Rattata has to rotate over to
Hellions could be in a bit of a dicey spot. One of them is going to go down. Second one gets surrounded. Good stuff here by Rattata. And he's making a lot of links, which absolutely is the correct call. I'm taking a look at his vision. He has not made it into the main base. But what we do have is obviously an Overlord and links, checking both potential third base locations. And at this point, Rattata has not seen anything. Hasn't seen a command center finishing up. Hasn't seen one floating over. So perhaps he's just reading this as what it is, a 2-base committed attack. Maybe not necessarily all in, but this is way more aggressive than we perhaps expected from Maru. And Rattata is making the right amount of units. And one good baiting connection could very well give Rattata just a phenomenal spot in this opening map of the best of 3.
Now, I do like what Maru is doing here with the Raven. He's knocking down so much creep preemptively, so that by the time he looks to push in, that creep spread that Rattata has been able to develop by taking this third base, not going to be quite as relevant. That being said, Baneling speed is done here. Rattata, his 1-1 upgrade's probably not going to be relevant for the first hold, but having Baneling speed means this is so much easier, and I like the run by. He's going to make it so that at least this first set of reinforcements from Maru, it's not really going to be all that relevant. What you see here, Rowdy, is really what we're going to get.
Yep, no, this is kind of the army, and it's a decent army, but you don't really look at this. It's like, okay, that's an army that cannot possibly die against 29 Banelings, because it absolutely can. The Marine count really isn't that high. Rattata is setting up more counterattacks. It's important that he leaves enough units at home, but he's just taking his time, waiting for the upgrades, perhaps to finish up. +1 melee done, +1 carapace is done. Here we go. I like to believe that Rattata has more than enough, as a couple of other turrets do go down. I don't think that should be enough. Front tank does do a decent job in soaking up some banelings, and it's not bad. But on the other side of the map, Rattata is still finding some success, and he's still the Zerg that's on 4 hatcheries against a 2 command center Maru. This is really it for Maru. Maru needs more than he's been getting so far, and there is a lot of potential. A few banelings is all it really takes here, but it feels like it's taking forever for those banelings to finish up, and the tank target fire is so good by Maru.
Oh, none of those, no Banelings are gonna, I mean, I guess one on the tank, but that doesn't really matter. Only one Baneling looks like remaining right here. Maru ran in as Rattata was morphing his Banes, and now I don't think we're gonna get that much more in this game. Running on forward, yeah, you got 1-1. Queen's doing what they can, but Maru trying to stay alive. That being said, Ling's coming in on the right side. Rattata, he cleans up here, and well, the next round of reinforcements, finally the run by from Rattata gets cleaned up here, so we need more Banes from our Zerg player, and it does not look like we're gonna have enough Banes in this game to really matter. Maru pushing in, it's on a knife's edge here, Roddy.
Yeah, but it's so painful, right? Because there's 0 creep to work with here. That Baneling nest is very close to falling. Does almost stay alive. Maru is going to run back to his tank. That tank once more gets a couple of good shots off. It may fall, but another tank has already shown up. And now the fact that there is no creep here is just so damn painful. That's obviously the power of the Raven too. It allowed Maru to pick up the creep tumors over and over again. And 9 minutes and 15 seconds is all game 1 really took. I think Rattata is really going to kick himself for that game a bit, because he didn't overdrone. This is not a game where he had no idea what was coming and he was on 74 workers, 4 base, and dropping the infestation pit. No, it was pure Ling Bane, 1-1 upgrades, relatively low drone count. I kind of feel that Vanya had the right tools to deal with this push of Maru. It's just that the execution of Maru was too good, and maybe Vanya got a bit too carried away with some of the counterattacks, convinced that 29 Banelings defensively was going to be more than enough. But Maru did a really good job in picking up units when he realized he couldn't win the fight and dropping them pretty far back off creep, and eventually allowing these tanks to get a couple of extra really good shots in.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out in that the big hold that decided things when Maru pushed forward, he was pushing on one of the right side base. We got 2 or 3 auto turrets dropped, and those auto turrets either absorbed a bunch of, well, they absorbed a bunch of Banes and they picked some off as well. So yeah, Rattata did a great job of avoiding the tanks with the Banes, but he sacrificed, I don't know, maybe a third little more than that of his banelings on these free units effectively, that then, well, you don't have enough banes, you can't make the hold happen. So normally we don't see the Raven be nearly as effective as it was in that game, but Raven MVP of game 1.
Yeah, it was kind of a shame though, because especially like the second set of Hellions, that one didn't really get a whole lot done, right? I think perfect defense against those. Rattata managed to pick off 2 out of 4, and then he was just building a lot of work units, and I thought it was going to be right. Like, and I think technically he was not supposed to lose there. I think against a lesser Terran, he would have absolutely stabilized. And if you push this back once and for all successfully, I mean, at that point, the world truly is your oyster as a Zerg. You've got double Evo, you've got 4 hatcheries, you still have plenty of queens, but he just wasn't able to ever get like the perfect cleanup. And it was close, but unfortunately not good enough. And that means that this man has taken the 1-0 lead in his opening series of his TSL 9 journey. In the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of the purple Terran player. Representing on side, it is Maru.
In the upper right, striving to take us to game 3 for good game gaming. He's a good game gamer. It's the Rattata. Rattata.
Am I rubbing off on you, mate?
I don't know. I did not play Pokemon growing up. I was not allowed to. I didn't have any sort of console or anything until college. So I don't have these intrinsic. I know how to pronounce Pokemon. I mean, I guess Pikachu, but. I mean, I wasn't even allowed to watch the show.
We need Wardy and Kalaris for that, mate. They will always correct us on anything Pokemon related.
I mean, you got into it too, right? At least the cards.
Yeah. I mean, I was really into it when I was young, and then I stepped away from it for a very long time. But then I had some serious FOMO whenever we went to DreamHack, and they were nerding out and so excited over new cards getting released, and they even sent the talent manager to pick up a couple of cards. And at first I was like, this is ridiculous, but then it happened event after event. I was like, and they were getting so excited, and I was really loving the Wardy opening card pack streams, because I just thought it was a beautiful roller coaster of emotions, and eventually I kind of got sucked back into it, and definitely fun. Like, it's just a nice way to spend some time sometimes away from all the stress that is out there. You just open some cards. I don't know. It's kind of fun.
I certainly committed a decent amount of my disposable income for a while towards Magic cards, so a little different, but I get it.
Yeah, it's kind of the same idea, right?
Yeah, right. I'm gonna get a lot of pieces of paper and be very sad that I don't get the piece of paper that I want.
Yep, but then you're gonna be happy when you get one of the pieces that you do want. You're like, woo,
exactly,
what a great
there
day. So Maru is switching things up here. He's going for Command Center first on Waterfall. Waterfall is one of the maps that he did drop in the Grand Finals with DreamHack Masters Valencia against Dark. I was really surprised about that, because I looked at this map at first and was like, man, this is Terran Paradise, right? It doesn't get much better than that. But after this map has been around for now, let's say a solid month or even 2 months, it does seem that a lot of Zergs look at this map and say, sure, it's good for Terran, but there are quite a few things that we actually kind of like about this map, and that's why you see it quite often even sneak into the best of 3 map pools.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like, at least going back to Valencia, we had all the Zergs saying, oh, it's so terrible, and then Solar's like, oh, I kind of like it. But on the flip side, this is the map that Maru would consider playable, so we do have that.
Yep, that's what he said. It seems playable. And I was like, when I saw that interview, I was like, come on, playable? I mean, we all know what that means anyway when it comes out of the mouth of a Terran player.
Now, don't you know that if I have an 80% win rate against Zergs, it's super imbas, Zerg needs a nerf? Or maybe that was just innovation.
Pretty
but
much.
we talked about this.
Yeah, the Roach one is finishing up, but Maru is opening up with Marauders and Concussive Shells here. So this is actually kind of funny, but ideally having a couple of Roaches early on against this kind of a start from Maru is nice. But it kind of feels like whoever attacks first is going to be in a disadvantage, right? If Rattata attacks first and he runs into a bunker and a couple of Marauders, he's going to be very sad. But if Maru attacks with Marauders and Hellions on the other side of the map, and he runs into 9 Roaches, then he's going to be very sad.
I mean, we should see an armory going down here from Maru soon enough. This looks like it's just going to be a Marauder Hellbat timing, and then, oh, you don't want to show those Roaches Rattata, but Did Maru see those? I'm not totally sure, but he's running across the map now. And, well, I mean, even with this, yeah, there we go, Viking lands. Even with two Marauders here, there's no bunker. There's not a lot here, Roddy.
No, but he's going to counterattack. But this is actually kind of cool because there's not a lot here, but there's also not that much on the other side of the map. Marauders and a Viking are so powerful. Nice wall off with the queens on the top side of the map. That is very cool. Because if those 4 Hellions would have snuck by those queens, make it into the main base, this game would have been pretty much over. Good luck catching up Hellions, right, with slow roaches that are on the other side of the map. Overall, though, I think if you're Rattata, you're kind of sad about how this went. Those roaches, they're supposed to cause chaos. They're supposed to kill a bunch of SCVs. None of that happened, and now you're like, well, I just slowed down my own Zerg economy by a whole lot, and I got absolutely nothing out of it.
And unfortunately for Rattata, he showed his roaches quick enough that Maru didn't even drop the armory. So it's not even oh, well, at least I forced an arm, at least that happened. Ooh, look at this drop into the main base here. He doesn't know, not at all. 4 Hellions, a couple, how many workers go down? It's gonna be 3 to start, but a nice pull
11.
right now. That being said, there's just absolutely nothing to kill these Hellions, Roddy.
Nope, and slow roaches are going to do their best, but Maru can obviously pick up one more time. It's already 11 drones going down, and Maru is not even done yet. He's going to unload the Hellions in the natural 2, get a few more decent shots up, and now looking at 12, 14. Game 2 is a straight-up disaster for Rattata, who really was close to potentially taking a 1-0 lead in this series if he would have just stopped that 2-base aggression. And Maru at this point knows that there's honestly not a whole lot that can go wrong anymore. So he's going to build a couple of bunkers just because sometimes you'd rather be safe than sorry. But I think Rattata knows that it's incredibly unlikely he's going to kill Maru here. And Maru knows it's incredibly unlikely that Rattata is ever going to kill him.
What was the number? 47? Well,
Yeah.
I think we're at about 14 minutes, 15 minutes right now, so less than half. Let's see if the game can go a little longer. I don't think so. That being said, roaches will find their way past the supply depot, but Stim is done. Marauders going forward. SCV's pulled, and at least that's something. You force a little bit of lost mining time, but, I mean, not really. This other roaches, they're going to sit here, and look, the supply of Rattata, it's doubling what Maru has. Maru's getting a little bit supply block, trying to have to top hat some of those depots. But even still, another depot will fall, and well, as long as we get the bunkers alive, the 1-1 halfway done, combat shields, the game just keeps getting better for Maru, but who knows, maybe now Rattata going in, we're going to see the bunker get busted. Not quite, actually. Biles not going down at the right time here. Biles on the left side, though. One bunker is out. Rattata, does he have no tanks on the high ground and force this back, right?
The tanks on the high ground side is ultra problematic. These bunkers are ultra problematic. Killing 21 SCVs is nice, but Rattata still needs more. He knows it. Mining time is not enough. 21 is definitely a very decent number, and that's why Rattata is not going to tap out, and he's going to be like, you know what? I'll fire up a lair. I'm going to try to crank out a couple of extra drones and just take the game from there. Found decent success with an attack, but yeah, without an Overlord or an Overseer, it's going to be impossible to kill those tanks on the high ground. And continuing to run into tanks and bunkers is rough, but this is where the real nightmare begins. Maru already found a lot of success with 4 Hellions and a medevac. Now he's going to have Stimmed Bio with upgrades and a medevac. Good luck dealing with that with just a couple of roaches, links, and obviously a pretty low queen count, right? All things considered. It's only 5 queens.
Yeah, this is problematic, and I think Maru, well, does he have an armory? No, not quite. But eventually, there's a world where he has 2-2 before the 1-1 of, or well, Rattata is still on 1-1 even then. But good position here from the Lings at the very least. So this drop's not going to get all that much done. Rattata's got his 4th base on the way. And I mean, Roddy, he did kill 21 workers. He did kill a decent amount of the army of Maru as well. So if there's a world, I guess, where Rattata comes back into this one, I don't think it's likely. Getting that amount of workers, it does at least start to claw your way back into this game.
It makes you want to stay in the game, and it makes you want to go for one more big attack, and that is probably going to be the good old 1-1 Roach Ravager attack. That can be very good if the tank count is low. I have a hard time believing that the tank count is going to be low by the time that arrives. Maybe Maru over commits or overextends in the center of the map, and then there is definitely a lot of hope for Rattata and all of his Roaches and Ravagers. But Maru normally has perfect reads on games like this, and he's gonna play it safe. He will make damn sure that his tanks will not get flanked by a couple of random links. The creep is pretty much everywhere. This is one of these maps where just a single line of creep boys actually grants so much creep and gives you so much vision if you are a Zerg player. Maru obviously knows that. He's playing it safe. Gonna siege up the tanks there on the left side. Maybe Rattata can use that ramp on the left to flank a little. Flank is kind of what is needed, I think, to run into 4 tanks.
And that is such a big army there from Maru, and he's got to drop somewhere else. A couple workers. Okay, the drop is dead. Never mind. But something got a couple workers there on the right
Viking.
side is Maru. Okay, Viking. Thank you. Maru here on the north side. He's going to siege up once again, but the tank's line is a little bit more staggered, so Rattata's going to be able to take this fight a little bit easier. Big concave coming from the Zerg players. One tank will fall eventually. Raptors doing what they can. Biles landing on the left side. Only 2 tanks remain. Rattata, he's got his 1-1 done. This is the timing that he was looking for. Has Maru Actually, yeah, it looks like Maru's overextended here. Rattata is going to force him back. And now, Roddy, this map is so damn short. If Rattata has an opportunity in this game, it's going to be right now.
Yep, it's now or never. I really don't want to see a single drone on the production tab anymore. Just make units and hope that you can somehow break Maru. It's still going to be very hard. Maru can obviously once more use the SCVs defensively, but this is indeed the absolute best chance that Rattata has. Unfortunately, a lot of the Ravages are beat up, so he needs to wait. There's no overseer. There's one overseer in the mix there, but the tanks are in... Well, the single tank is in a good spot. I mean, Rattata is now just going to give Maru the idea that, hey, maybe don't worry about it too much, man. I'm just poking. I'm just happy I survived. We know that that's not the case. Rattata wants to end the game right here, right now. 1-1 roaches. Ideally, you obviously hit before the 2-2 upgrades kick in of Maru. Maru has a lot of supply. This casually wandering on the top side of the map. A tank is misread. Maru did misread this game a little bit. And Rattata, I mean, this is the best chance he's ever going to have. Go, 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 go.
He's going to dive right on top of the tank. He's going to get it, and now there's really no anti-roach anything here. 5 Marauders, I mean, yeah, the Biles, though. Okay, Maru will dodge those, and this is such a complicated fight for really both sides to take it right now, but the problem is more stuff in this case does beat less stuff. 120 army supply to 50. Granted, Maru only has to defend the natural right now. The third base is already broken, but even still, 21 SCVs have gone down. More and more roaches here, Roddy, piling on in. That tank on the high ground is dead, and Marines there just not enough to deal with this one whatsoever. The roaches of Rattata, they reign supreme. And hey, we get a game 3.
Rattata gets a W, and that obviously gives everybody some hope to predict the true for TLO's prediction, because at least this one is going to go to all 3 games. I mean, I think that's really funny, because if a game like this, a very similar game, would have happened between one of the best 5 Terrans in Europe and Rattata, there is a 0% chance that they move out with all 4 tanks and starts getting ready. Like, they'll play it safe, because they know that Rattata is always willing to just stop droning and make nothing but units and is looking for that next wave. But Maru is probably not quite an expert on how Rattata plays on average. Maybe he's seen a couple games here and there, but I highly doubt that he's been studying his gameplay for hours after hours. So Maru is playing this like this could potentially go into the ultra late game. A hive is on the way. He's like, all right, I'm going to be to the front. He's going up to 4 bases while moving out. Meanwhile, Rattata is sitting there, 55 drones, 1 time, Hail Mary play, and it actually worked. I mean, that's just pretty funny.
So now, Roddy, we just need game 3 to go about 27 minutes, and Tilo will be right.
Still a bit of a stretch, I think, but we'll see what the map is going to be. So we had Tropical Sacrifice, we had Waterfall. That means that our decider is probably going to be what is somewhat neutral here.
Moondance, which is actually not neutral at all. Moondance has at least in pro play thus far across the 3 big tournaments, it's like 60-40 Terran favored.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but that's what Lambo mentioned as well, right? That this map will most of the time in best of 3s, you're going to end up playing on 2 maps that are pretty damn reasonable for Terran.
Yeah. Playable even.
Passable. Can live with it.
Somewhat of a thing. But I feel like this might also be a map that Rattata in particular does not mind. As well, if he wants to be aggressive, it's a 31-second rush distance. You can get across the map rather quickly, and then maybe he's got something up in store for us. I don't think we see a proxy hatch. That's not quite that Rattata style. That's more of a Bly or a B or something. But maybe there's something weird that he's got.
Yeah, I was about to bring it up though, mate. I like what you're thinking. Because he may not be an ultra expert at it, but he's done it quite a few times in his career. And he's done it in all the matchups as well. So I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate something very weird with a proxy hatch and a couple of spines and then queens and roaches, or maybe some sort of a Nidus play, right? There is
Mhm.
was a potential to get a Nidus up in either the pocket expand or perhaps the corner of the main, even though there isn't too much surface area to work with in the main base. But I'd like to see something wild, because even though Vanya just won, that was a game where once more Vanya was very, very, very all in, right? He was kind of already all in with the first attack. Then he killed the 21 SCVs, and he's like, well, we may as well try one more time and try to get some 1-1 roaches and ravages up. And if Maru would have just sat back with the 4 tanks that he had, and he's going up to 4 bases, there is a 0% chance that any amount of roaches and ravages is ever going to kill Maru there on Waterfall. But by Maru moving out and allowing those 4 tanks to get picked off, and then only having a single tank at home and that tank falling too, while still sending out Baya, right? Even after that big fight took place, instead of Maru bunkering up and be like, okay, that's kind of dangerous, he was still sending out Baya units, cleaning up some creep and whatnot. Is like, okay, that's probably not what's happening, Maru. And he found out the hard way, but at least that gives us a game 3, and we're all very excited for that. In the top left side, we're looking at the main base of the man that is by many considered to be the best Terran player of all time in the entire history of StarCraft 2. Representing onside, it's Maru.
In the bottom right, in the gold, seizing every opportunity available to him. It's the Regent of Roaches, Rattata.
Nothing too crazy by the looks of it. I wouldn't have hated it. To switch it up a little bit, do something crazy, do something bizarre. But it seems like we're just going to go for a hatch first and take it from there.
You talk about Nidus though, Roddy. This map is actually rather interesting for Nidus because we do have that pocket third, which Terrans tend to take, but not all. They don't necessarily want to. It's like, oh, it's free, but it has 2 less mineral patches, 1 less gas, so you do have a little bit less efficiency there. There's a decent amount of space in the main base as well. So if you're trying to drop a Nidus down, there are a couple pockets that it's really hard to cover. Okay, do I cover the main? Do I cover that pocket third? Maybe there's an opening there, just where Maru won't necessarily see it until it gets all the way up. Not saying it happens, but on this map versus, I don't know, Waterfall, for example, it seems like there's some options.
But Maru should be on very high alert, because even though this tournament has an upper bracket and a lower bracket, if you want to make it to the offline finals, that doesn't mean we just reset things, right? It's not all about like, oh, top 12. Like, no, this is important because the tournament will just continue and play out the way that it's currently being played. And you really don't want to start in the lower bracket, because then for the rest of the entire tournament, you only have a single life. So it makes a lot more sense to just stay in the upper bracket. Ideally qualify as one of the top 4 players of the upper bracket. So then when you travel to the Netherlands, maybe if you have one rough series, you still have that second life. So this is by no means a series that Maru can take lightly or can take easily. This can have very big consequences for the rest of his TSL 9 run. And let's not forget, Maru has never won a TSL, and I'm sure that he would love to change that.
That he would. And also, I think you're right, Roddy. Until Maru runs into, I don't know, I'm trying to look at the bracket, into Crater maybe. Most of the players he's got in the bracket, I think Maru dropping down into the lower bracket before the upper bracket semis, not only is that not something he wants because, oh, hey, one less life, I think we could consider it a disappointing run from Maru. Just looking at how he's got to run into, he's the best Terran player in the world. At some points over the last 2 years has been the best player in the world. You don't expect to see him lose series. Certainly not to Rattata, who's still, I think we say, an up-and-comer.
Yeah, he's still improving, right? He definitely arrived in the pro scene. I mean, he's had so many deep runs in the European DreamHack that he has definitely arrived as one of the finer players that Europe has to offer. But he is not done improving yet. He definitely hasn't peaked yet, and I think he would hate the idea of having already peaked in his career. He's got bigger dreams than the things that he has accomplished so far. Indy, our lovely observer for the series, showed us a couple of times that Rattata's link speed is pretty damn late. He mined at 100 gas, then he just waited. And I was like, is this on purpose? Is this a mistake? And he's kind of cranking out drone after drone after drone. Eventually, he got to it, but link speed definitely quite a bit later than you would expect it to be.
That it is. I mean, it's not even the 4-minute delayed clash opening, or the modified clash opening. I don't think it's gonna make that big of a difference. Well, actually, no. With the Marines moving out here, it might. But behind this, Maru, I'm like, wait a minute. No, okay, there's the medevac. Maru's going BC behind this. So if there's a game that has an opportunity to go super late, Maru will most likely go mech behind this, assuming that he does not kill with these Marines. But Link speed is now done, 410. If you're not afraid about Hellions, this actually works out fairly nice for you. But Roachborn goes down now for Rattata. He does lose an Overlord. Fine, he's not supply blocked just yet, but he does not have a lot of Lings on the map. He's only got 9, and they're not in the main base.
Yeah, 9 is not enough to deal with 7 Marines and a medevac. Maybe with a bit of Queen support it will be, but don't forget about the 4 Hellions that are also ready to find some success, potentially in the natural and that dwelling, that low Ling number that you mentioned. Really come back to hunt him here. Now Queen has already gone down, Marines still going strong in the main base. And Rattata really is paying a hefty price here for being as greedy as he was. Beautiful Marine positioning there between the extractor and the mineral patches. And these Hellions are still keeping Rattata busy. I mean, this is a ridiculously successful start for Maru, who honestly has a very tiny investment, and he's not done yet. He's running circles. Oh no, Rattata. What a disaster. What an absolute disaster, BMO.
This drop is not supposed to get this much done, but we talk about nine lings, more like 9 lings, as in no lings whatsoever, not anymore. At least nine hopes in this game for Rattata, losing 12 workers, losing all of this. Look, Roddy, this is just Maru prepping for his potential date with Showtime in the next round. He's learned some German. He understands now. It's all good.
Yeah, well, Rattata now does finally have a couple of links, but now the Battlecruiser hops into the main base, kills the Queen. Don't forget, we lost the Queen against these Marines. All that we have out on the map at the moment for anti-air is 4 Queens. One Spore Crawler did finish up in each and every single base, so that is nice. But this BC will just be roaming around, having a good time, and this game is a nightmare. If you guys wonder if Maru was a little pissed after the game on Waterfall, yeah, Maru was a little pissed. And he will still take care of business and win game 3 in 6.